Hey everybody, I'm Philip, and today I'm here to talk about Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, which is the third movie in the Knives Out installment series. The first one being Knives Out, the second one being Glass Onion, and the third one being this one. I'm someone that enjoys the Knives Out movies. I enjoy whodunit movies in general. I like the format. It's just something that appeals to me. Trying to figure out the mystery and what's going on and who did it and how and all that stuff. It's fun. It's fun. The first one was just charming and clever. The second one I thought was a little silly, but it felt like it was absurd on purpose. And I liked that, especially with some of the stuff they were spoofing and certain people they were making fun of. I appreciated it. This one, I didn't really care for. And that sucks. Like, I wasn't a fan of the setting, like the whole church and biblical and religious stuff. And it was a meta commentary on religion and politics and how those two things can be corrupt hand in hand together, especially with Wicks and Cy and what was going on. But even then, even if it took place somewhere else, I can't say that I would have liked it anymore. So I don't think it being focusing on a priest, played by Josh O'Connor, who had to go to a different church for punching someone. It could have been anything else. And I think the problems that I have with the movie still would have been there. The backdrop that the movie was, presenting itself on just really didn't do it for me. But that's just me. You take all of that away, and the movie still has problems. Narratively, I found it to be very lifeless, very just kind of boring. And that sucks. I paused the movie several times while watching it to go get something to drink or to go use the bathroom, just stuff like that. Normally, and I'm sure it is that way with, many of you watching, when you watch something and you're into it, you kind of try and put those things on the back burner if you can. But this felt like I was actively looking for a reason to pause and leave. It just felt lifeless. There was no spontaneity or spark to it. And the strength of these movies has always been the ensemble cast. One had an amazing cast. Two had a really fun cast. This one had a great cast. We had Josh O'Connor, as said. We had Glenn freaking Close was in this. And I'm happy she was in this. I'm happy she's still finding work. I'm old. So I come from a time when if you were past a certain age as an actress, it was pretty much the end of your career because there weren't just any roles for you anymore. Unless someone happened to make On Golden Pond and then, yay, you got to do it, maybe. There's so much media across all these, scammy, bloodthirsty, greedy-ass streaming services. Well, everything really. Movies, music, games. It's all just collapsing in on itself. Well, it would if we lived under a normal. I'm not here to talk about society. It was tough for a female in the acting industry getting older to find work. Once upon a time it was. So when you see someone like Glenn Close, she's older, but she's still killing it. And it's so awesome to see. And I'm glad she was in this. We had Jeffrey Wright, we had Andrew Scott, we had Jeremy Renner, we had Josh Brolin, we had, of course, Daniel Craig back as Blanc. The biggest sin, see what I did there? The biggest sin this movie commits is, why even have the ensemble cast? Why? You didn't do anything with them. Why was Andrew Scott in this? Yes, I appreciate the eye candy, but you could remove Andrew Scott completely from the narrative and really nothing changes. You could have said the same thing about Jeremy Renner up until the end. Or I forget her name now, I'll pop it up on the screen. The lady who was in the wheelchair. You could remove her from the plot completely. Nothing changes. And that, to me, especially in a movie like this, which is built on the whodunit premise, you need the ensemble cast to beef up the narrative. And if you're not using that cast to beef up your narrative, then why have them? These movies rely on a certain amount of MacGuffins, a certain amount of bait and switch. I feel like the ensemble cast was absolutely wasted. You have so much talent, and what are you doing with them? Not a lot. I think it's the biggest sin the movie commits is the plot just does not do any of these characters justice. Even the people that were involved in the actual, unraveling of the mystery. And on top of that, the actual mystery itself was kind of limp. Especially like once we started unraveling it, like the only time this movie had any kind of like life to it was when Benoit Blanc was given the whodunit speech in the church. That's what you're building towards. We spent 2 hours building towards this, and it ended up being like the most convoluted, kind of absurd, just... And then he doesn't want to embarrass Glenn Close's character in front of everyone, so he pretends that he can't solve it, which unfortunately gives the character of Cy a ton of fuel. Which again, I know we were doing a social commentary and, meta-narrative, and that's fine. We did it in Glass Onion too, but it worked a lot better there. So you tarnish your reputation just to save face for the person who did it, but then she confesses, and you have to tell everyone anyway to try and quell the truthers. Their words. I appreciate a multi-layered mystery and a multi-layered execution of the plot, execution of like what happened, execution of the execution. But this just felt overly contrived and overly convoluted just for the sake of it. You can be too clever for your own good, and I think this movie did that. Which sucked because yes, Daniel Craig is always awesome, and Glenn Close kills it. She was awesome here. But the MVP of this movie was Josh O'Connor. I've said before in other stuff that good acting cannot save a bad script. This is 1000% a case of that. It wasn't a horrible script. It was just a mediocre script. And the previous two movies were strong. Like they progressively get less and less strong as we go. 1 was here and 2 was here. It was just a little dip. But then 3 is like down here. And it's a drop off. And maybe you liked it. And if you did, that's fair. Fair play. I always say that. I am very, very well aware that opinions are not facts. This is just what I thought of it. You may have loved it. You may have just been really into it. I wasn't. Some of the stuff did its job. Like I found the character of Cy to be irritating. I was actively annoyed that he won in the end. Granted, he didn't get his inheritance, but it's supposed to still take place in some kind of semblance of reality that you can figure out. Like the first one, you could deduce who did it. The second one, you could deduce who did it. This one, they kind of show their hand a little bit. Like I kind of knew who it was, but I would never in a million years have figured out how. I think that goes back to trying to be too clever for your own good. I'm not saying everything needs to be dumbed down so that I can figure it out. Like if I can't figure it out, then it's bad. No, not at all. Even if I can't figure it out, as long as it is a satisfying conclusion, all good, no worries. But here it wasn't. It wasn't. You have characters that are just ridiculously underused. There were parts where I felt like this movie forgot that it was a whodunit. Certain scenes that are hallmarks of these kinds of movies. If you find a tape that pretty much everyone incriminates themselves on, and then you open the door and that group is gone, why are you not showing the tape to the authorities, getting that group of people rounded up together into a room, and then questioning everyone? In Knives Out 1, we had the scenes where people were being questioned in front of that knives thing. Why was no one being questioned? Like, you let them walk out. Why? Where is the questioning all the suspects part of the movie? Like, the entire time where they're trying to be like, oh, it's Josh O'Connor's character. We knew it wasn't. So why not do the detective formula? You don't have an ensemble cast and not use the ensemble cast. If you're not going to question suspects, do not create suspects. If you're not going to create suspects, why have the ensemble cast in the first place is what I come back to. The cast was wasted. Even Josh O'Connor acting his butt off. He was the heartbeat, the pulse of the movie, and he did a phenomenal job with what he was given. But you have all these other amazing, talented, charismatic actors, and you don't do anything. Like Glenn Close was second behind Josh O'Connor, and it really wasn't until the last act that she really got to sink her teeth into something. But then you have the woman in the wheelchair. You have Jeremy Renner's doctor character being this really weak MacGuffin guy for a lot of it, and then didn't become central to anything until the reveal. And even then, And in addition to the lady in the wheelchair, Andrew Scott, as said, both of them could have been removed from the plot completely. They were only there for a positive spin on overcoming your chronic pain, which I appreciated because I'm in chronic pain. I have been for almost 20 years. I'm in chronic pain now. You learn to wear it like a second skin. So Andrew Scott's entire character as this author was to be like build to that punchline at the end about the Big Lebowski. What? Like, what was the point? And that's kind of what I think about the entire movie. Like, what was the point? What was the point of any of it? The whodunit genre makes for such fun movie experiences normally. And what I like about the Knives Out series is, like, sometimes with the Agatha Christie adaptations, they come off as kind of stuffy and not very vibrant. Whereas the Knives Out series is the exact opposite. It's always vibrant and the characters are colorful and it's intriguing and it's kind of absurd, but in a good way. And they've done a good job on meta commentary or social commentary. And there were moments here, like I said with Psy, and trying to use religion to break through into politics and essentially lie, his way to notoriety, which he ended up doing on the back of Blanc's failure. And then, like, we tried to tell the truth, but we can't get past the Wix truthers. They believe what they want to believe. I get it. I hear you. I'm on your side. I agree. But maybe less of that and more of whodunit. Use your cast. Use the ensemble cast that you put together. It's not a complete miss. It's not a complete miss. The dart hit the dartboard, just not as close to the bullseye as it could have been. And as I said, each movie gets farther and farther away, and it sucks. All right, let me go find my notes, and we'll go. They're very short, but I'll be right back.
Philip's notes.
In the beginning, Blanc is talking with Josh O'Connor's character, the priest, and he says, "I kneel at the altar of the rational." Me too. I like that line. I know I said the cast was wasted. I think Josh Brolin did a good job in his role as the priest. Behind Josh O'Connor and Glenn Close, like that was the trifecta of people who really made the most of their time. I thought Josh Brolin nailed the performance as a overzealous, hypocritical, sanctimonious religious figure who then wanted to parlay that into personal and professional gain. But he's talking about someone getting pregnant. He describes her as a loose woman. It's always funny how it's the woman that is the loose one. It wasn't him. No. He was doing some stuff. But yeah. Funny how the people who are always guilty can never hold themselves accountable for it. They always got to blame someone else, usually for the thing that they are guilty of. Pay attention to that in the media. Whenever your politicians or whatnot try and point the finger at someone else about something, yeah, leave it there. And here's what I wrote. Why not go after the others? When they had incriminated themselves on tape that Psy showed them. Well, then I wrote, I hate that the vlogger guy is going to win. And then I wrote, I hate that Psy won. And then I talked about the Wix truthers. That is literally all my notes. I just want to talk about the altar of the rational. I like that line a lot. Do I regret watching it? No. Was I kind of bored? Yes, I said. And it wasn't a very engaging movie for me to watch from the plot. And I think it could have been done a lot better. But that's just me. If you've seen Wake Up Dead Man, which is the third movie named after a song, by the way, this one's by U2. What did you think? You think I'm wrong? Did you enjoy it? I know a lot of people like the religious part of it. I feel that I have a more solid ground with the narrative and the what was the point kind of feeling to it. So I wish they had done more with the cast that they had. But it was cool to see people like Jeffrey Wright and Glenn Close. And O'Connor was fantastic in his portrayal of this tormented priest, tormented by his past, wanting to atone for what he did and whatnot. I just think there's more you could have done with this story. And it just felt like Rian Johnson forgot the kind of movie he was making. and I don't understand some of the decisions that were made with the cast, and then using that cast in the plot, or a severe lack thereof. So yeah. Overall, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. Above average. Where I've watched Knives Out repeatedly, and I've watched Glass Onion a few times, and I enjoy them. I don't know if I'd ever watch this again, so yeah. All right, that's gonna wrap this one up. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I will simply say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.